In John 19:39-40, says Nicodemus, who had first come to him by night, also came bringing mixtures of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pounds weight. And he took the body of Jesus and bound it in linen wrappings and the spices, as is the burial custom of the Jews. Now, used about, I estimated out about 100 and maybe 17 pounds of the gummy consistence like a glue and the spices. And people say, critics will say, oh, come on, Josh, that's a lot of spices. No. I said, really? I said, when Gamaliel, the great Jewish scholar, died, they used 86 pounds of spices in his burial. When Herod died, it took 500 servants to carry the spices. So 100 pounds wasn't anything out of the ordinary for a great leader. And the linen cloth that they wrapped him in, of course, the Jewish custom, could have absolutely no ornamentation or cloth on it, or a stain on the cloth. Why? The cloth had to be sewn together by women in the synagogue. And no knots, you couldn't tie it permitted. Why? Because the cloth was to show the continuity through eternity of the soul of that individual. And no one could be buried in fewer than 3 separate garments. One they had where they started below the arms, wrapped through the feet, then a separate piece around the arms and up, and then a separate piece around the head with the burial cloth, all with the spices put in between with a gummy consistency. Over 100 pounds of spices around encased, which became literally an encasement around the body. Then it says, there was a large stone rolled against the entrance of the tomb. After the body was placed in a solid rock tomb, an extremely large stone weighing approximately 2 tons was rolled by means of levers against the entrance, Matthew 27. In Matthew 27, it says it was a large stone. In Mark 16, it says it was extremely large. Everyone that approached the tomb made a comment about the size of the stone. After I lectured at Georgia Tech a number of years ago, several engineering professors went on a tour of Israel with the university. And they remembered what I had said about the size of the stone. So they took, while they were over there, the type of stone used in the time of Christ and calculated the size needed to roll against a 1.5 to 2 foot doorway, or 4.5 to 5 foot doorway. And they wrote me a long dissertation. Thank God, in the last page, they put it in simple English. They said Dr. McDowell would have to weigh between 1.5 to 2 tons. In the Beis manuscripts, within the text, when it talks about the stone, it puts in parentheses, a stone that cannot be moved by 20 men. Now, what's the significance of that? When they put it within the text like that, it shows that it's not part of the text, but it's a part of the original thinking of that time of the text. And so they put it within the text in parentheses. And that's why they said it was an extremely large stone. Georgia Tech said it had to weigh 1.5 to 2 tons. And the comments of that day was that 20 men could not move it. How did Joseph move the stone? I debated Dr. Ahmad Deedat, who at that time was the number one Muslim apologist in the world. We debated in the tennis stadium in Durban, South Africa. And he was mocking the resurrection. And he said, oh, sure. It says Nicodemus rolled the stone against the entrance. And he just kind of laughed. And I got up and I said, you know, when I arrived here yesterday, I saw these thousands of chairs here at the tennis stadium. The whole center part was all filled with chairs besides the seats going around in like a horseshoe. And I said, well, who brought these in? They said, oh, Deedat did. I said, sir, you brought all these chairs here by yourself? Oh, no, I said, that's right. Nicodemus could have 20 people with him. But you wouldn't say Nicodemus plus 20 people. You'd just say Nicodemus had the stone rolled against the inch of the tomb. I said, besides, almost always they had a trough in front. As you looked at the tomb, usually going to the left was a trough about this wide with a little ledge on it that would come down. They had the stone there with a wedge on it. And then when they wanted to seal it, they would simply pull the wedge out, the stone would roll down, hit an abutment on the other side, and seal the tomb.